Make sure you stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can save an additional 25% off your next Microsoft Windows or Microsoft Office product keys. Hello everyone and welcome to The Good Old Gamer. So today we have some pretty decent news topics to talk about. We now have an official launch date for the Steam Deck, but the biggest news of the week is obviously the release of the RTX 3050. And I'm going to spend the majority of this video just chatting with you guys about my thoughts on that card and the RX 6500 XT, the card that we can't stop talking about. And there's a good reason for that. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, but we're going to start off with the news. So let's jump right in. So as mentioned, the Steam Deck is officially launching on February 25th, so just about a month from now, and the first unit should arrive to customers on the 28th, just a few days later. So this is a pretty important product, and it actually ties into what we're talking about here. There's a lot of people very interested to see if PC gaming will evolve into something like this, which I believe that this will be a new market that will be sustainable, mainly due to the fact that desktop DIY PC gaming is getting so expensive. And personally, I think that this is a nice solution for those that got it around the $400 price point. How many of those guys actually got that deal? Who knows? But we'll find out here in the not too distant future. I'm excited to see how this performs though. So look out, I'll do a video talking about my thoughts on this once reviews come out and we get some benchmarks. But it's very interesting to see this little product come out at a reasonable price point in this current climate. Now, just a little news blip that came up. Crytek officially announces Crysis IV. So if you're a longtime PC gamer, you're probably a fan of the Crysis series, mainly due to the fact that everybody bought it way back when. And honestly, I really enjoyed Crysis 1. I liked the way that it was linear, but still open enough to where you could attack objectives in many different angles, so it made the replayability really good. Crysis 2 and 3 have their strengths and weaknesses as well. Most people don't like those if they really like the first one, but regardless, we're getting a fourth entry in the series, and we'll see how Crytek approaches things. I really kind of hope for a blend between the two types of genres that they had, and hopefully they don't go full open world like they did with Halo. That's just, personally, I did not like that, but we'll see. It's exciting. This is actually going to be a thing, so I wanted to bring it up real quick. Another little interesting bit that came out this week, the Nvidia GA103 graphics processor has been pictured, and it comes in at 496 millimeters squared. So this is a pretty big chip. Obviously, it's smaller than the GA102 and larger than the GA104. That just makes logical sense. Now, they aren't 100% sure, but it seems that it should have a 320-bit memory controller, which is very, very interesting, as this was likely always supposed to be the RTX 3080. And ironically enough, I don't know why they didn't go this route. Obviously, they wanted more shader cores to go ahead and compete better with the 6800 and 6800 XT. That's the real world reason, but if they can produce more GA103 dies on a completely separate sort of thing and keep the 3090, 3090 Ti, and 3080 Ti on the 102, this would have allowed Nvidia to produce more GA103s and get more 3080s out there, even if it was a little bit weaker. So personally, I really hope that Nvidia does something with this chip, especially in this market. Seems likely this will become the 3070 Ti 16 gigabyte, but they will keep the 256-bit memory bus for that, obviously. So essentially, it'll be the 3080 Ti laptop just on desktop. That's my guess, might be tweaked a little bit, but the chip is real. We have pictures of it. And yeah, it's just kind of interesting that Nvidia at the last moment was that afraid of AMD that they had to cut down their GA102 just to compete at the quote-unquote $700 price point. So the last little bit of fun news that's come out since Monday, this just came up. Spanish authorities discover crypto mining farm instead of a suspected marijuana plantation. So, you know, they go to raid this place, and I guess they're like, they gotta have pot. Look at all this money they got coming in. And lo and behold, it's just graphics cards. I just find that hilarious that we're having authorities raiding places thinking there's drugs involved, because a lot of these guys are making so much money and probably keeping it off the books. I find that humorous, but obviously, you know, it is what it is. I want to hear your thoughts on this one down in the comment section below, though. And then, of course, we have the launch of the RTX 3050. This is the biggest news of the week because this is a graphics card that, well, a lot of people want. And I mentioned this in the last video. And this is one of the reasons why I want to bring it up. Entry-level graphics card with ray tracing and DLSS support. Well, can you really call a $400, $500, or $600 graphics card entry-level? Well, you can today, I guess, and get away with it. And this is becoming a real issue here. This fictitious MSRP of $249, well, it never existed. And if it did, it was like 5 units at each place, and they were gone immediately. I mentioned this on the Techonomics podcast. Gamers Nexus actually had the AIB MSRP pricing, and as you can see, they do have 249 cards listed. Like I said, you sell one of these and then you sell the rest at these price points. Essentially, you're looking at basically $400 to $500 with the AIB tax. Now, you also have to factor in retailer scalping and tax on top of that. That's why they're going for even more than these prices. These are token cards that were never meant to be hit. Typically, what you would see is $249 MSRP, maybe a $259 or $269, and then maybe like a $299 monster card. But the fact that these are priced so much higher than the MSRP meant that this was never going to be hit, and it doesn't actually exist. Now, if you're a fan of this channel and you've been watching, this is not unexpected. I've been saying for a while now, at best, you're going to see 350 to 450 from the AIBs. Well, look at that. Gamers Nexus confirmed that as soon as they did their review. And then I factored in the retailer tax on top of that, throw on another 50 bucks. Guess what? That's what they actually sold for. So they were 400 to basically 500 from retailers. And if you want to go out and buy one right now on eBay, they're going for $600 to $700. It's insane to think about that when you can get an RTX 2060 for about $500, $550. As of a few days ago, that's when I checked on them. And that's a significantly faster card than this. The RTX 3050, it has basically just hit the most meh line it could have possibly done. At its $249 MSRP, this card is fine enough in the current market because it delivered similar performance to the same price as last generation while adding more VRAM and more features. So even though you didn't gain any performance per dollar, you gained features per dollar. That's at $249, meaning that this card simply makes no sense beyond that price point. So if you didn't buy a 1660 Super or 1660 Ti, why would you waste money on this thing? Even at $249, because you're not getting that much more for it. Now, at the $400, $500, or $600 price points, it makes even less sense. As I just mentioned, you're better off buying a used RTX 2060, or if you want to go with AMD, the AMD RX 6600s are in stock at Newegg for about $450 to $500, which is also faster than a 2060 and much faster than the 3050. So the main thing that we got from reviewers is at $250, this is a good card, which I basically just told you guys. Yeah, it's not great, but it's not awful at that particular price point. The main consideration here that most people are doing is the RX 6500 XT is so bad of a deal that it makes this look good. And that's the real crux of this situation. The 6500 XT has basically morphed the market to the point where people are still talking about it. I'm talking about it again. Steve from Hardware Unboxed just today did a big video with Tim basically blasting the 6500 XT. And I know there's going to be people in the comment section going, it's the worst thing ever, which you're technically right. And then you're going to have the people trying to defend this. The reason why I can say the 6500 XT is significantly worse than the 3050 is at $199, even at its MSRP, which it was only there for like a millisecond and then gone. That card offered worse performance per dollar than its previous competition. Its most equal competitor would be the RX 5500 XT 4GB, which was $169 MSRP. Now, that card had an 8 times PCIe 4 bus, had video encoding, but did not have ray tracing acceleration. So this card technically has one feature better, but loses other significant features. Obviously, these cards aren't going to do ray tracing anyway, so it's not really a very beneficial feature. But if you wanted some sort of ray accelerator, it's technically there. So you got to give it its little bit of props. Meaning at $169, you couldn't be too terribly mad at this, except for the fact that you are missing features. meaning that the 6500 XT at $149 would have been acceptable in today's market and would have been on parity with the 3050 in terms of price to performance relative to its previous generation. Now, if the entry and budget levels, which are two separate things, entry level used to be $120 on down, so basically $80 to $120, maybe even $60. I mean, depending how far back you go. And then you had your basically your $150 range to about $300. That was kind of your mainstream mid-range graphics cards. If those graphics cards do not get any faster, or in the case of the 6500 XT actually regress in performance per dollar, you're actually going to start seeing higher end SKUs just continue to go up and up and up. Basically, new SKUs need to be created. So what that means, if the floor, the basement, never gets any faster, we just have RX 580 level graphics at $200 forever. They never get faster, ever, ever, ever. Well, so far that is the case. So until one of these companies prove me wrong, I'm going to assume they're never going to make those any faster at this point. If that's the case, that means, let's say you get double the performance with RDNA 3 or Lovelace that we're expecting next generation. That just means performance at each price point won't need to go up. They will simply make new SKUs with the faster performance. Now, at the high end, these companies will cater to people and give you slightly better performance per dollar than you got generation to generation. For example, the 3080 Ti, as much as I hate it, it is significantly faster than what you got with the 2080 Ti at a relatively similar price point when they launched. And yes, you could get them around $1,200 to $1,500 at launch, just like most of the cards. And as I mentioned, because of the markets and everything, basically due to inflation, I think we were all willing to accept no performance per dollar gains this generation. So as the customer base, we all kind of went, okay, we're kind of realists here. Things cost more, things will have to cost more, just the way it goes. So we'll just say that 25 to 30% performance gain that I expect generation over generation at every price point, we're willing to forego that, just keep the same performance at the same price. Neither company is doing that. And the 6500 XT is the worst because it's the only card that you can say at its MSRP actually regressed. Now, switching on over to the RTX 3050, it's fictitious MSRP that, like I said, it never really existed. Gamers Nexus pointed it out day one. They're like, this card's never going to be $249. So Nvidia never had any inkling of doing that. And at the $400 to $500 price point, I actually believe the 3050 is worse than the 6500 XT. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but the 3050 is the signal to the community that Nvidia does not give a flying crap. They don't care about the PC gaming market at all. They don't care about you. They don't care about their own customer base. Personally, I hope that this move, what they've been doing over this whole crypto thing, bankrupts them as a company. I know they got a lot of praise, but they did LHR. They tried to help people. It's just to get miners to buy more cards. That was the whole reason why they did LHR. Well, now I got to buy twice as many cards to hit my hash rate. It was pure greed. That was never to help you or me or anybody else out. So Nvidia is the market leader. Let's be honest. They own pretty much 85% of the DGPU market. That's a monopoly. So Nvidia is not catering to they're in the entire market, essentially. They are the market, and they're just completely letting it go to the wayside. And there's, like I said, there comes a point where you have to just sit down and take inventory. Is this worth it to you anymore? And personally, I love PC gaming. There's a lot of reasons why I will continue to do it. For me, the big reasons are emulation. That's a big one. I love playing older games at higher resolutions or higher frame rates and stuff you just can't do on most consoles. So that's a big reason why. PC exclusive games or games that just simply run better on PC. Games that really do require keyboard and mouse. This would be things like RTSs. To me, it's flight sims. And even games like first-person shooters. Some of those I could play with a controller just fine. Some of them are just simply better with a keyboard and mouse. However, the people that should not be buying into this anymore and should probably be looking to get away from PC gaming as fast as possible are the people that play AAA games only, and specifically AAA single-player games, because there's really no point in playing those games on a PC unless the PC makes financial sense or does other things for you. If you're like, nah, I just play games all the time and browse the internet, you're going to be much better off getting something like an Xbox Series S, X, or a PS5, because that will deliver all of the experiences you want at a significantly lower price. And Nvidia is really pushing people in this direction. It is their market to destroy, and they are doing everything that they can to make it happen. And I know a lot of people be like, well, what about AMD? AMD is a blip on the radar. Let's be honest. Like I just said, they have at best 15, 16% of the market. They don't even really count at this point. It is a monopoly run by one company. And the only thing that's going to fix this is, one, if people stop buying, but that's not going to happen. That has already been proven over the past year and a half. People will continue to buy these regardless of price point. So there's always going to be a market, and Nvidia can always just scale back supply to make sure that there's always that demand, so people will continue to pay higher prices. Like I said, AMD could come out and flood the market, but they simply don't have the capacity to do that. If you said, hey, AMD, you need to come out with 100 million units on your next generation of graphics cards to satisfy the market, they'd be like, well, that's impossible. They simply can't do it. They cannot supply the market. The only shining light here is Intel, and realistically, even if they do come out as the white knight at the beginning and get some competition in there, and really force these other companies to compete and supply the market properly and not artificially create demand, they will eventually become a big dog and likely will continue to do this. Unfortunately, the PC gaming market is doomed because there is no big money fighting against this. All the big money is in favor of this. Now, like in things like laptop, you don't see prices going too crazy because you have companies like Dell and HP and Lenovo, other billion-dollar companies. They'll be like, no, we're not doing business with you if you sell things at prices that we don't want to pay. And same thing on the console side. The reason why they're $500 is because Sony and Microsoft said, no, this is what it's going to be. We don't care if you eat today, AMD, or whoever's putting the thing together, Foxconn or whatever. Whether you eat or not, we don't care. This is the deal we struck. Suck it up, Buttercup. And they have enough clout that they can do that. You and I, unfortunately, don't. And I've tried to rally the community around this for years. I've tried to get people to be like, no, when companies do bad things, you keep your money in your wallet. The average person is incapable of delayed gratification. The community cannot fix this. You can only fix it for you. For me personally, what I'm going to do is simply limit my budget. Before it was $300, I might go down to maybe $200 graphics cards, require a 100% performance gain at that price point before I spend money. Now, granted, that means I'm never going to buy a new graphics card again. I might have to wait 2-3 generations to get a graphics card upgrade at those price points. However, for me, that just means I just have to, play within my means. Whatever those cards can do, that's what I use them for. And honestly, for those big AAA games, I'm just going to go console. Over here on nowinstock.net, I know a lot of people don't want to believe this, but Series S's have been in stock for over a month. I'll put a link in the description. If you want to just pick one up for $299, it's MSRP. It's as fast, if not potentially faster, than a 6500 XT with essentially a Ryzen 3700X, a 512 gig PCIe Gen 4 NVMe, and your cooling, your case, and your power supply all together, plus a $60 controller included in that price point. You can have that right now, and you can play the AAA games just fine. 1080p, 1440p, and most, if not all of them, I believe, are going to be 60 FPS, at least for a while. And that's the market I think that's going to be hurt the most by this, is going to be the AAA, super fidelity, the Crysis 4s of the world. Imagine if they tried to make Crysis 4 a PC exclusive at this point in time. You'd have a very small group of people that'd be like, this is great, yeah, it can't even run on the 4090 X2 and SLI and all the rest of this stuff. Yeah, those guys are going to love it because they want to see that sort of next generation stuff. And I used to be there, but that was back in the day when top-end graphics card was like $400, and like the card that was like 10% slower was like $300. It was okay back then for there to be these sort of things. Nowadays, those cards are going to be like $3,000-$4,000. So there's going to be a very, very, very small subset of people that are going to play those. In reality, no game developer is going to make a game that does not run on the Series S, at least 1080p 60. You could just ride that out until, $200 graphics cards are basically 1080 level performance. said, maybe it's next generation, maybe it's the generation after that, maybe $200, performance never goes up. If that's the case, you just ignore that and you just buy the next generation console, buy the PS5 Pro or whatever when that comes out for $500. Unfortunately, that's the point that I'm at. PC gaming for AAA gaming makes little sense. The best AAA games on PC right now are like 4 or 5 year old PS4 games. I mean, come on, guys. You got to take a step back and be like, this is getting a little ridiculous. These are the games that everybody thinks are great. And the other AAA games, yeah, I know some people like them. I know I'm shitting on them, but you can get similar or better experiences from earlier games in the series because big AAA guys don't make new games anymore. They're just new versions of old games. Just play the older ones that'll run on an RX 460. And if you have anything that's GTX 1060 level or better, or RX 480 level or better, you should be out of this market. And I think most of you guys are there. You're like, yeah, I want nothing to do with this, as those are going to be more than capable enough to keep you going. I'm sorry to be a bit of a downer on this one. It's just the realization that this is where we're at. Just PC gaming, just do esports and cheap indie stuff. Basically, you just need cheap hardware or APUs for that. That's why the Steam Deck is looking very, very interesting because it can handle all that stuff. Old games and things of that nature. Console is for AAA games. And then if you have more money than sense, you're free to spend whatever you want. It's your money. You do whatever you like. But anybody who values value, that's really the only option. But yeah, I want to chat with you guys. So make sure you click the link down below. Go to the Techonomics podcast, subscribe. We're going to do this tomorrow. And then stay tuned because I got more savings for you. Speaking of value, today's deal of the day. I'd like to thank VIPURCDKey.com for sponsoring today's video and offering you guys an additional 25% off your next Windows 10, Windows 11, or Microsoft Office products. You can go ahead and do so by using promo code GOG25. To take advantage of this special offer, just click the link down in the description below. You'll be taken right to the Windows 10 Pro page that you see here. And it's as simple as clicking Buy Now. Go ahead and add in the promo code GOG25, hit apply. You will see the discount applied right there. Go ahead and submit order. PayPal is my preferred choice for secure online purchasing, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that. So after your order is processed, all you have to do is click View Keys and get instant access to your new product key. So once you have your product key, all you have to do is go to search, type in activate, hit enter, go to change product key, and paste your key code in. It's that simple, and you have full access to all of your Windows features. And as these are legitimate keys, these also work on Windows 11. I tested it myself personally, and you can install Windows 11 from the jump, and these key codes will also work there. You can also save the 25% off also on any of the Microsoft Office suite as well. So take advantage of this exclusive discount by clicking the link down in the description below and using promo code GOG25 here today. Well, alrighty guys, that's all I have for you guys here today. If you like this type of video, please smash that like button, please subscribe, please share with friends. Make sure you share this one around a little bit. I think the community needs a little wake-up call as some people are all in on the way things are going because they're profiting right now. They'll be pissed when they start taking losses, but regardless, they just don't care. They're basically bought in on this. And then you have everybody else that's just being pushed aside as like, oh, you don't matter. And realistically, that's most of the older gamers that don't spend a lot of time gaming anymore. So it's just not worth lots of money. And new guys don't want to spend $3,000 on a gaming build. Mostly this is just going to be good for, late 20s to early 40-year-olds that spend, well, once you hit your 30s, won't spend too much time playing video games instead of doing real life. And that's taking advantage of those guys as well. So yeah, if you want to stop this, please share this video around, have a chat with a friend, sit them down and go, look, this is why things are bad and you just can't support it, and offer alternate solutions. That's what I always do. So, alrighty guys, I want to thank you. Love you guys. See you guys tomorrow, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.